Wearing the same shirt shown in here, back with another Big 3 review, or a Big 2 review, because My Hero's on break this week, which is okay because we have 2 really good chapters to cover. I'm still plagued with PC issues. My PC's not letting me upload videos from my phone, so until I either fix that or get a real camera, it's more late uploads than iMovie until then. So, excuses aside, let's start off with One Piece 1038 because there's a lot to cover. So much to cover, in fact, that I'm just gonna list off what happened and then go into each thing in detail afterwards. Whole cake cover story continues. Niji and Yonji are both captured. RIP. Castle interior, 3rd floor. Raizo versus Fukurokuju is progressing. RIP. 2nd floor, Jinbei is cleaning up the samurai mess. RIP to the samurai. Right brain tower, we have Frankie looking for Zoro. Also in the right brain tower, we have Zoro encountering death. RIP, there you go. Basement level 1, we have Izo versus CP0, a 1v2 CP0 situation. I'm just gonna say RIP to Izo now. Basement armory, we also have Yamato versus Kanjuro, which is an eventual RIP because Kanjuro's gotta die. That's just how it's gonna happen. And then on the live floor, we have the return of Chopper, fully recovered Chopper, and also Kid-in-Law versus Big Mom, which is what this chapter is called. So I'd like to start out with the cover page, obviously. We're gonna go in order here. And, if we take a look at all 3 together, we have Germa fleeing from Whole Cake. Then we have Judge, Ichiji, and Reiju just looking back on it. And now we have Yonji and Niji captured, which means that either they're trapped there for good or this cover story is gonna revolve around rescuing them. I think that kind of confirms that Katakuri is gonna be in this cover story because he has to be healed by this time. I don't know how long that guy's gonna take to heal, but I assume that he'll either pop up here or, in Wano. That's one of my favorite Wano theories, which is that, at some point, the Big Mom Pirates are gonna do something. There's gonna be a mirror present, and then out that mirror comes either Brule and Katakuri or just Katakuri, which is, to this day, again, one of my favorite theories. I hope it happens because I'm all for more things to happen in Wano. Seems like Raizo will, in fact, pay tribute to Odin by going out burning alive as well, which is cool, so long as Fukurokuju goes out with him as well, because the biggest middle finger would be, okay, Fukurokuju dies, and then the paralysis is, negated, and then through some divine miracle, Raizo uses his Maki Maki no Mi to suck up all the flames and disperse them. That'd be horrible. He should go down for good after this, just like Izo, who, as he comes on screen, reveals that he has a serious injury battling the Beast Pirates and now is about to go 1v2 versus 2 CP0 members who've been tearing through everyone that they've faced so far. I don't see him breaking this pattern anytime soon, and it just tells me that he's gonna go down, and that should be okay, right? Because he's the scabbard who hasn't been around. His guilt for that should not come into play, but it would make sense as the person who left to join the Whitebeard Pirates and really hasn't been around for the Wano Saga would pop up and serve a huge role and, sacrifice his life to save some of his homies. So long as some of the scabbards who stay alive are, injured permanently, that's fine with me. I think Kinemon still has to die, but, if it's like Kiku's case, she has a permanent injury, she's not getting her arm back, then that's okay. Some people are still going to complain about, all 9 didn't go, but I think you can't expect Oda to kill 9 people when he has trouble killing 1 person. It's just not how the One Piece universe works. So far, I'm thinking Izo, Raizo, Ashura Doji, Kanjuro after his fight with Yamato, and maybe Inuarashi. And then who else do we have? Hopefully Kinemon. After one last moment with Momonosuke, I could see him just, biting the dust there or like completing one last task and then dying, because you can't give us such a silhouetted scene of him getting killed by Kaido and then have him not only live on, to do one last task, but also just living on in general. I know that, Usopp's moment with him and Kiku just kind of makes his obsession with dying there in Wano obsolete, but, Kinemon being the head of the Scabbards, I think the only way he can live on is if he's like, I didn't get to protect Odin, so I'm going to make sure I protect his son Momonosuke. Even then, it'd still feel like cheap, because of all the Scabbards, I would think the leader would go. But, I guess it'd be okay so long as, a few others go, because I'm pretty sure Ashura Doji's not coming back. If through all of this, Jinbei is like, looking for people to save and he finds Ashura Doji and Ashura Doji comes out of this, it's I think, that was probably the one Scabbard death that everyone was immediately like, yeah, he's going. So to have him survive would be, really, really annoying, but I still trust Oda to spin it in a good direction, but there's gonna be some anger there from a lot of the community if every single one of these scabbards goes unscathed, with the exception of the people who lost limbs. You can't have all of them alive with some limbs lost. You have to have some death. Moving on, we have Yamato also nearby. During her fight, she runs into Izo and they bump into each other during their separate fights, and maybe it all turned into one thing, but she gets his blessing or whatever. He reveals himself and she knows who he is, and maybe he blesses her as like the 10th scabbard, or gives her the backstory as to what the yokai is, and she learns that that's Kanjuro. She knows what Kanjuro's done, or she learns what Kanjuro's done, because I don't think she knows it all. And then she uses that to kind of like get angry and finish him off. But the armory still has to blow up, right? It's introduced for the sake of blowing up. Maybe part of it only blows up and the rest of it is saved, but at the end of the day, you can't introduce such a dangerous plot point and not have anything happen with it. She can still save the day, but some of that thing has to go off. Something, the bottom at least, needs to be blown off of Onigashima. So maybe that's what we get. Maybe we get nothing. Again, Oda can always spin things, and if he angers us in one chapter, he can end that chapter with a great moment, and maybe it spoils it for some people, but it at least would balance out. My only concern with the whole armory situation is that it interferes with Luffy versus Kaido, and maybe it does explode and all of it goes, and that's how Izo goes. He takes 2 CP0 members with him or something like that, or he thinks he does, and then they come back. My fear there is that it all blows up, and now that Onigashima is already on the verge of collapsing within itself, that causes it, and it affects the rooftop in some way, and so Luffy versus Kaido has to be ended there. They both realize, hey, I gotta go make sure that my crew's okay. We're gonna count this as a draw, which would be kind of cool. I wouldn't mind Luffy and Kaido just seeing each other as equals there, but at the end of the day, Wano has to have a win. It has to have a victory from Luffy. The big bad has to be defeated. You can't have all this set up for, just we drove Kaido away. They can't, at least in my mind, that's what has to happen, because Wano already has served to subvert expectations from past One Piece arcs, and it's done it pretty well in my book. People may disagree with that, but I think I like not knowing exactly how things are going to pan out. And so long as, at the end of the day, things are fleshed out well and it makes sense and there are no plot holes, then I can't really be upset. But, it would just be nice for this Fire Festival to end with, oh, look at that, look at Monkey King Luffy in Gear 4th or in Awakening form, or in Giant form, because that's what people are speculating now, that, he beats the big bad right then and there. Then again, maybe the citizens of Wano, it all ends, at the end of the day, it still relies on, what they want, the citizens of Wano. So if they're okay with seeing Orochi killed and Kaido just taken away from Wano, he doesn't have to be defeated there, or the defeat can count as, him being driven away, then that could be okay. It will count as a win for them. And then, Luffy can still, at the end of the day, just kind of claim Wano for himself. I feel like I just still have to see Luffy standing over Kaido with the win, or even Big Mom making it to the roof and seeing Kaido fall, or something like that. Someone has to witness Luffy beating Kaido. Someone has to be able to relay the information, hey, Luffy won, because he has to win in this. You can't go through 3 rounds and all this, power up and then it be a draw or an undecided battle. I'm used to it being that the reader understands the win and the world doesn't know the win. When the news gets spread by Big News Morgans, cool, they don't have to get the story right, but us as readers and the crew will understand exactly what went down. Someone has to keep a record of it. So if no one's able to do that, then that would feel kind of cheap to me, I think. Zoro's post-fight paralysis is kicking in. It seems like he's being visited by death itself. Based on the close-up shot, it looks like Brook. And Morge brought up a really good observation that, why would Oda have Brook and Frankie trying to head towards Zoro? It doesn't make sense for 2 Straw Hats to be going there at the same time to accomplish the same goal. Just story-wise, it makes sense in the story for 2 Straw Hats to be concerned about, their first mate, but story-wise, it doesn't make much sense for 2 Straw Hats to have the same exact goal, especially when we just saw Brook with Robin. So I forgot her name for a quick second, but saw Brook with Robin, so he should be with her, which means if that's Brook right there, Robin should be right beside him, or should be hiding somewhere, or should She should be somewhere nearby. I'm hoping that it's death itself. Zoro's being visited by death, and it's basically telling him, you've been playing with me too long, you have too many near-death experiences, I need you to realize that this is like your last chance. Or that's the manifestation of the injury he's about to undergo. He took the remedy, all his broken bones were healed, but he's gonna feel that multiple times over. And so, this is basically Zoro's vision of death going, oh, this is an injury that really might actually take me this time. And he's realizing that. Again, Zoro's the perfect person for this scenario, because Zoro could actually have an encounter with the real manifestation of death in One Piece, and it'd be totally fine, because everyone knows that Zoro has the closest relationship with it. But also, Brook would be the perfect person to instill injuries on Zoro for breaking his bones. So either way, I'm happy with either outcome, gag or not. This could even be Enma, just like going, hey, you wanted to be the king of hell, so this is the king of hell, let him introduce you, bestow the title upon you, and before you can actually claim that title, you have to not only master the swords, but you have to, go through some serious pain one more time, and then you'll be okay. Or maybe this is, where we get revealed or get a hint at, what's under Zoro's left eye. And finally, we end the chapter with what seems to be the climax of Kid-in-Law versus Big Mom. I don't see them outlasting her here. Maybe she has another trick up her sleeve, but, I don't see that how after another K room and another corner dia that Kid-in-Law have any more energy after this to withstand a transformation from Big Mom, or a big move. Maybe they both go out, maybe this is a draw, or I would say the surrounding fodder of the pirates, of the Kid Pirates and the Heart Pirates could help out here, but we've already seen the extent of their abilities, so they're not going to play any type of factor. So I'm guessing that at this point it's a battle of attrition, whoever just goes down first, and I'm okay with this. Maybe some people expected Law or Kid to activate like Advanced Conquerors or Rio or something like that, but I feel like that'd be weak, especially knowing how much training Luffy had to undergo just to master or to kind of understand Rio, and then the hockey bloom he needed just to go through and achieve Advanced Conquerors. It would feel kind of cheap to have Kid activate Advanced Conquerors or to have Law activate that, but Law doesn't need it. He has K-Room. He can get into Big Mom no matter what. He doesn't need that Advanced Conqueror technique, and maybe Kid activates Hardening, but who knows? I don't think it's necessary, because as he says, what does he say? He has even water can carve stone, and I don't think that's a reference to sea stone. I think it just goes to show whether or not they're using advanced techniques, Big Mom can just be withered down no matter what. So long as she has an enemy who can just continue to battle her and continue to hit her and hit her and hit her, doesn't matter how strong her defenses are, she's gonna get tired at some point. All of these people have, all the Yonko, or all the Yonko candidates, they have the same ability to just, no matter what it is that we use, no matter how strong our attacks are, our defenses are, at some point it's just going to take away from our energy, and we're going to need to rest at a certain point. So I think that's what they're playing for right now, and if they succeed, it should be fine. No one should have a problem with oh, Kid-in-Law won but without Advanced Conquerors. How the hell did they do that? Big Mom is weak. There's going to be all those people who do that, and obviously they're going to be ignoring the purpose of the fight at that point. So I'm okay with that outcome too, so long as they stall and they do their job, then they will at least serve their purpose, or lived up to their hype, because Law, we did get the 2v1 of Law and Luffy versus Doflamingo for a quick second, but Kid and Law, Kid especially, you can't have them going down 2v1 versus a Yonko. As strong as she is, you have to give them a win at a certain point. So that's what I'm expecting, for them to at least outlast her, or at least for that to be a draw. Or maybe if the theme of Luffy and these guys are actually not ready to become Yonko yet, if that's what Oda decides to go with, then both fights technically end in a draw. Kid and Law versus Big Mom and Luffy and Kaido, that both of them end in a draw, just to show that these guys are almost at Yonko level, but they're not at Yonko level yet. They're there though. They're on the cusp of it, but that'd be great. I'd be okay with that as well, because then that would mean that Yonko and Admirals are on the same level. I'm kidding. Moving on to Jujutsu Kaisen 173, and it is over. It's finally over. I get the chapter beginning that I've been wanting for the past 2 or 3 weeks now. which is the ending of this battle. Basically, Megumi looking at Reggie like, it's over. He's basically just talking to Reggie through his last moments and revealing, hey, I was never gonna run away anyway. That's just not how Nue works. And after some quick questioning, Megumi determines that neither Reggie or Tengen are working with Kenjaku, which is great because I wouldn't have even considered that Tengen would be lying, but the fact that, with all the info that Megumi gets, he kind of realizes like, hey, technically this could mean that Tengen was lying, but he can't be lying because this and that, so I wouldn't have even considered that. So have Megumi both consider and reject that idea right then and there was a really small but great detail from Gage. So really good on him, because if he hadn't clarified that, then it would have been up to us to kind of realize that ourselves. So I like explanations like that, inner monologues from the characters themselves, just working through thoughts. And since Megumi's kind of the strategist of it all, so it works there. Reggie's last words here make me think that he may become important later on, maybe not through like his role, but maybe his role will be revealed as something that was important at some point. Maybe there's a flashback that we get to the ancient sorcerer times 1,000 years ago, and maybe Reggie's not a hugely important role, but when the Culling game was created, he played a part in it, and maybe was a protagonist who got screwed over, because that's what his last words make me think here, of just like, hey, let time or let life make a fool out of you type of thing. So it just makes me think of, especially as someone who he decided when we first saw him, like, I'm in the Culling game now, so I'm gonna try and make the best of it. I'm gonna try to be a factor here. So just makes me think he was a guy who was maybe working with the right side back in the day, and he got trapped here or something like that. Could not be the case at all, but at some point I'm expecting, just like a 1,000-Year Blood War arc flashback, I'm expecting an ancient sorcerer times flashback arc to kind of explain what's going on, or at least maybe not a whole chapter or not a few chapters explaining it, but just some type of callback to that, just to give us some context there. The 5 points thing really threw me off for a second, because I forgot that you get points when you kill someone. I thought that maybe that was Reggie lying about how many points he had, and that was his like last troll towards Megumi, but not the case. It just serves to make the moment a little bit darker. Like, here's your reward, you killed a human being, and there's no one around here for Megumi to talk through that. When Yuji and damn, I feel bad. When Yuji and Nobata were talking through their, when they killed the death paintings and realized that those are actually humans, they got to have a quick therapy session. Megumi doesn't get that, though. I would not mind him catching another body in the meantime. Takuba's just determined to become the favorite of this arc. When the scene started off, I assumed that him and Hazunoki had encountered a new enemy and that they were fighting it together, but no, that was just him trolling not only Hazunoki but us by breaking the fourth wall and just messing around with the way that we read the chapter, which is great. We got the revelation that his technique is not only capable of breaking the fourth wall, but also, more importantly, capable of messing with Gojo. He has a technique that can actually work on Gojo, which is fucking rare. I think the most important is that he's trolling himself. By the explanation, maybe I read this wrong, but maybe there's a difference between technique and power. I wouldn't know, but it seems like his technique only works if he thinks that the thing is funny. But it also says that he's unaware of his technique, which is the funniest thing of all. If he has a technique that works off of his own sense of humor, but he has no idea of this technique, then that means that to himself, he's just a guy who's roaming around the Culling game, cracking dad jokes, and is just somehow surviving because he's just lucky. I don't know how that would work. Like how he wouldn't assume that he has a power at this point. Maybe he thinks he has a power, he just doesn't know how it works, and he just thinks he's funny. He just thinks he's just funny enough to get out of every situation that he's in. Fine with that. That just means that he's going around the Culling game being overpowered for the lulz, and I'm all for it. Especially since, he doesn't have to make other people laugh, he just has to make himself laugh. I think that's the best part of it all, is that, he's introduced as a failed comedian, but, it doesn't matter. He doesn't really need to make anyone else laugh. He just needs to be convinced himself that, the things that he's doing is funny. Hazunoki quickly loses interest in the battle once he realizes that Reggie's dead. Kogane comes over and relays the news to him, so once he sees that, he's like, all right, I'm going home, which is acceptable, but Takuba kind of realizes that he still needs points, so he's now following Hazunoki, which if he ends up just following him for the rest of the Culling game, fine with that. I would have assumed that he'd somehow connect back with Megumi. Yeah, I think if he reconnects with Megumi, that'd be the best option for him, because Megumi's the most likely to give him some points, and he's also the best foil for him. He's the most serious character with the joke character. But, you know, I don't think he will. Seems like Megumi's good. He's encountered the angel, so maybe he's got some other things to do now. Maybe they're never going to even, you know, encounter each other again. I think all the pieces are in place now to bring Gojo back, because Yuta's pretty much confirmed to clear the Sendai area. The introduction of, like, there's a 4-way stalemate here. These are all really powerful sorcerers. But then at the end of the chapter, you have Yuta just killing one of them. And then it's like, oh, but, you know, Yuta's power is only second to Gojo. So, you know, I'm pretty sure that means he can even 1v3 the other sorcerers there, or the cursed spirit, because there's a cursed spirit that for some reason there's a grasshopper there. But maybe we'll get some backstory in that, or maybe we'll pad out some time, get some more Yuta backstory, or just like some more unpacking of who Yuta is through his travel through Sendai there. But I doubt that he's gonna have any issues. He already took out one of them, and you know, if it's a stalemate, you have to assume that they're at least on par with each other. So if he can one-shot one person, he can one-shot the rest. And you know, I think that's it. We're pretty much done. You know, Yuji's already done his part. Maki's done her part. Yuki and I forget his name, Choso, are doing their part currently. Hopefully, you know, maybe someone's popped up, and at some point we get a scene where, oh, they're both on the floor dead, and Tengen is there, and he's about to be approached by some figure. Pretty much sure that's it. You know, we have Ikari, sorry. We have all the pieces together. We have the crew assembled. We have the allies joined up, and now we have the angel. I went back and read 145 and 146 just to see who Tengen gave the back of the prison realm to, and of course it doesn't show. It doesn't show us who he gave it to, but since, you know, that's kind of Megumi's specialty, is being able to store items, he's probably the best person to store the item and keep it safe. I'm assuming he has the back of the prison realm, and you know, once he wakes up or whatever, he'll be able to do something with the angel, unless this is where the angel decides, I'm gonna play a trick on everyone, and I'm just gonna bring Megumi to his sister, because I know for some reason, or bring him to somewhere else, and then I'm gonna go fly off somewhere. That'd be so annoying, because it just feels like it's about time. You know, he's been sealed for what, 740 days real time, and about 3 months in manga, so there's nothing for anyone else to do. Like, if this all becomes like a tracking down of the angel thing, I feel like it'd be unnecessary to then just right before that have the angel just pop in anyway. We'll see. I'm all trustworthy of Gage. We're only like 30 chapters into this arc anyway, so there's only 170 chapters so far, so it seems like he's really good at pacing his arcs. But you know, if this goes on for another 100, I understand, because it seems like even if we do bring Gojo back, it's not over. I would assume that Kenjaku has considered that Gojo would come back earlier than expected, and so he would have measures in place to account for that. He's already moving on to the next plan. Maybe, you know, he's like, well, the prison realm will have a back entrance or a back exit, but Gojo's going to be sealed here. You know, he's not going to be allowed to leave Tokyo, and since I'm going to be worldwide by this point, it does not matter. I think that's the best route, because, you know, even if we bring Gojo back, it doesn't mean that the game is over. He's too important to have all his plans thwarted by, you know, Gojo's existence at this point. It's like All For One with Aoyama, where he's like, it doesn't matter if, you know, he gets revealed to be a mole, I'm already moving on to the next thing. And that's, I think Kenjaku's already proven himself to be that much of a threat that it wouldn't really matter. Speaking of Aoyama though, we didn't get a My Hero chapter this week, but I did want to quickly mention how I think Spinner will be used. AFO kind of mentioned that everyone needs a hero, right? So, well, it seems like Spinner is going to be the one to pop up first and serve as a hero figure for all the rioters around. I already assumed the heroes would be at a disadvantage numbers-wise going into the final battle, but I only thought about the escaped convicts, and maybe those people don't even care about what's happening, but I would assume that since he broke them out of jail, they're already sided with AFO. But we still have plenty of mutants around that Spinner needs to now serve as a hero figure for, and unless the new wielder of New Order pops up as a way to bail the heroes out, then I don't see any other way for this to go down. But I think maybe the best way for this to happen is to have AFO's words kind of turned against him, right? So everyone needs a hero, and even heroes need a hero. So Spinner serves as a hero for the mutants around, and Deku serves as a hero for the heroes. So he comes up, he shows himself, somehow the news captures it, everyone's watching on TV, and all these heroes who are now retired come out of retirement because they're like, oh no, we can trust this guy, if we get behind him, maybe we can actually win. Aside from like, you know, the Sad Man's Parade, I think at that point, maybe the numbers would be somewhat even. Easier for them to overcome. You know, all three manga are like, you know, in the roundup stages of their arcs. Jujutsu Kaisen has now their heroes or like their gang together and they're getting ready to start finding the angel. My Hero is kind of rounding up what they can for their final battle, and One Piece is in the stage where, you know, we're already kind of done with the final battle, where we're at the climax of the final battle, but we're kind of rounding up all the allies to like save them and get the hell out of Wano. So it's cool. Can't wait till next week. All three are going to be back, I think. You know, Jujutsu Kaisen, I never know, because they always say to be continued. They never say like, you know, see you next week type of thing. But we got confirmed. My Hero's coming back next week, and One Piece are coming back. So can't wait till next week. Either way, I've got 50 minutes of audio and a video to edit down now. So I will see you for the next Platinum End chapter review or the next Platinum End episode review. My name is Weekly Shonen, and have a great week and be safe. Bye.
Go crazy, go crazy, go crazy, no crazy, no crazy, no crazy,